This podcast is brought to you by Men's T Clinic. Men's T Clinic is the team I trust with my total wellness optimization. So should you. 5 DFW locations with North Frisco, El Dorado Parkway at Dallas North Tollway. Now open. Call 972-GO-MEN'S-T or visit menstclinic.com.
Odyssey now has hundreds of new exclusive music stations for you to discover your new summer soundtrack.
Get moving with worthy workouts for a cardio sesh fueled by today's top artists.
Hanging with your crew? Throw it back with Picnic Party for old school jams for your cookout.
Or sail away with Odyssey's new yacht rock station, Jugger Yacht.
There are hundreds of new exclusive stations to check out today.
For summer barbecues,
road trips,
or relaxing poolside.
For every mood, every interest, every passion. By Odyssey.
Hey, it's hour number one of the G-Bag Nation here on a Football Friday. Cowboys at Houston tomorrow night. Let's discuss it right here. General at your service at East. Jeff Kavanaugh, Brian Broaddus, Peyton Hillis in for Lucius Alexander here in the G-Bag Nation. Or Peyton Russell, Peyton Hillis.
Get it together.
I was about to say, man.
Yeah, I'm
Get
not
it
covering
together.
it, but yeah.
Get it together.
Hey, that's my bad.
Hillis,
It
man,
is a
just
Friday.
Rumbling along.
yeah. Madden cover there. Congratulations on all your success, Mr. Producer, man, there in the Pimp Cup. But we are off and running. Krusty's Corner's coming up at 2:40. Do you want to do a batch of takeaways from practice there or here? What works best for you, Brian?
Let's hit the batch there. How about that?
All
Yeah,
right.
How
All
about
right.
that?
Then we'll do some
Governor's
Krusty.
Cup. This game's for the Governor's Cup. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Cowboys-Texans.
That's the silver boot equivalent?
Yeah, it's for the Governor's Cup. So if
Sweet.
you want to get that cup from the governor, of the governor, shaped like the governor.
The governor's got some cove working right now. Do we want to get that cup from him?
Well, you'll wipe it down. You'll hit it with some
sanitize that
Clean it,
bad boy.
Clorox.
Clean it.
Yeah. But just know that this one, you throw out the records when the Governor's Cup is on the line, and I expect both these teams to compete very hard to try to claim the cup, which I've never seen. I don't know what it looks like.
Well, it's actually lost. Nobody knows what the governor's cup is.
Oh,
I
believe it went to the Texans, and
They lost it.
They've lost it somewhere down, and the gentleman that had it is no longer with us. So there could be a little problem finding that. Maybe we might have to make a new one, I believe.
Well, the Cowboys currently hold the Governor's Cup if they can
do
ever
they have
find it.
Do they have it?
If they can find it, because August 24, 2019 preseason game at AT&T, we waxed that bottom 34-0.
Damn
we
sure
currently
did.
have the cup.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I think the gentleman who had it before might have taken it with him.
Okay.
Might have.
That happens.
Thought he was like King Tut.
Happens.
Just buried it with him and let's go.
Wait, you're saying whoever had the Governor's Cup died
Yes.
and kept it?
I believe so.
Okay.
Put it in the
McNair?
tomb?
You think McNair has the cup?
That's why
You think he was buried with the Governor's Cup?
He probably did.
I
He's
like
a
it.
Texan.
I like it.
I like what you guys are doing. I'm not tracking 100%, but I'm enjoying it 100%. Practice today, 9:03. Buddy was at practice today, said during warm-ups, Dak stopped and jogged to the locker room. Any info there, Brian?
He went and worked on the cords on the other field.
There you go.
That's what he does.
Yep. He did say in an interview with Gil Brandt today, NFL.com, he does expect to be playing when the Cowboys open the season September 9th against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So
That's good.
That's just, further confirmation.
Yeah, because if he wasn't, we'd start talking about the draft in week 1.
Yeah.
And that's a bad time to talk about the draft. So.
Is that the earliest we've ever talked about the draft?
It was Dak's injury, right? When he snapped his ankle, we were like, you got that college all-22?
Yeah, we were starting to dig for
Ready
that,
to
weren't
get
we?
going?
We sure were. You're right about that.
It was time to talk draft and prepare for a top 10 or maybe top 5 pick. And yeah, if Dak was unable to play in the opener, I mean,
4-13.
How deflating would that be? Yeah, I think without Andy Dalton here, I think 4-13 would be the pick. And maybe they'd end up finding a way to be worse than the Eagles.
Our guy's all right. And even if he's not, we got medicine. Modern medicine.
Oh, yeah.
Needle in there.
Yeah.
Rock and roll, baby.
All right.
Oh, yeah. This is all just – oh, wait, all right?
What do you mean, all right? Are you saying he has a torn rotator cuff?
No, I'm saying all right. I like your we
Okay.
got to play.
All
I
right.
like that. I like the enthusiasm from you guys.
We'll get some Cowboys takeaways from this week's practice and take a look at things we're hoping to see tomorrow night here in just a couple of minutes. There is more college football news as the other conferences are trying to make something happen. Big Ten, the ACC, and the Pac-12 expected to formally announce an alliance.
Oh, an alliance?
Yeah, a 3-league alliance.
What does that even mean?
They don't even know. They don't even know, I think they're getting FOMO. I think that's what it means.
This is just an Axis and Allies thing. They've just declared the SEC the enemy, and
it's like risk.
And so they called each other, and they're like, "Listen, what about an alliance?" And they're like, "Sounds great. What does it mean?" That we would say that we are allied. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what?
Yes.
Well.
Okay.
Then we would be the allies of the Pac Big A.
Yeah. We're going to be the other three. I don't know.
But they're not forming a conference.
Well, they're
just an alliance.
Yeah, as that they have to have uniforms, when you form alliances.
Well, they're not actually going to war.
Well,
they'll wear their schools uniforms.
Oregon has stepped up, and they've got over 100, and they said they're more than grateful to supply uniforms to the other Axis schools.
Okay.
I can't wait for that Washington Husky-Miami game. That travel's going to be fun for those teams.
Yeah, that's what I guess. This is news to me, so I'm really just trying to work this through. Like, it's not like the Pac-10 and ACC are going to play each other.
They might have
allied.
This might set the table for some non-conference matchups.
Okay. Yeah.
Some sexy types of series like that. But one AD who was asked, spoke anonymously in the story, says, is it about philosophy, governance, or scheduling? It could be all those things. The story goes on to say the scope of the alliance remains uncertain, according to one AD. While initial conversations involved all sports, recent discussions have focused solely on football and men's and women's basketball.
Okay.
Maybe creating lucrative TV opportunities. But the article that I read, the author on ESPN.com said it's probably more likely that they just see the SEC generating as much power as they have, and they want to make a move, but they know they can't do it inside their own conference structure. So they're looking for help, and this is the beginning of brainstorming and attempts to make sure the SEC doesn't totally take the ball and run away with it.
Well, it's probably too late for that because I'm just brainstorming here, but correct me if I'm wrong. If you took everyone that's not in the SEC, once Texas and Oklahoma go there, and you have a 16-team playoff, don't you end up with like 3 of the Final 4 from the SEC?
Let me tell you what
you got Clemson and Ohio State.
Let me tell you what I would do.
That's what you got.
Let me tell you what I'd do. If I was the SEC, I'd go get Clemson.
There you go.
I'd go get Clemson.
Let's finish this, boys.
Yeah, then it's over.
I would finish.
Then Ohio State would build a moat around the school like we're the last bastion.
I'll tell you what. I'll go get Ohio State too. I'll figure it out because
they're Southern enough.
Yeah, but they play. You're always competing. You're always having games against them, and you got a crowd of over 100,000 there. Maybe you could talk Michigan in being involved.
It'd just be 2 different leagues. It'd be like, listen, we know that we can't compete with the new SEC, so we're all going to play over here for our championship, and you guys can play each other.
Yeah. If you really want to form a super alliance, super power television, I've got all the toys. Go get Clemson. Go get Florida State. Go get Miami.
Yeah.
Go get maybe North Carolina for basketball, or whatever. Duke, however you want to do it. But if you really want to get all the toys under one group, that's what the SEC needs to do. Just go get Clemson.
I think they're going to need to get USC. And I'll tell you why. When this name, image, and likeness thing kicks in and you have Hollywood and 25 million people in Los Angeles and 50 million people in Southern California all together, I think they will be heard from in a major way in the next 5 years.
I wonder if you pull more with USC nationally or UCLA.
USC, I think. UCLA hasn't been very good over the last.
Well, I know from 2000 into 2009, USC was one of the best programs in the country.
Yeah.
And so but it makes sense if you're starting to talk about Hollywood stuff. But to me, you got to look at both those schools.
Well, UCLA's right there next to Beverly Hills and everything, and they got a pipeline of more money than USC. USC has the stronger football tradition.
Private school too, I believe.
Which one?
USC.
Is
it? Yeah.
That makes sense. Sandler went to a private school. That makes sense.
Yes, sir. Indeed. It is the G-Bag Nation here on 105 through the Fan. Now, we're about 11 minutes from Stephen Jones joining us for a football conversation here on a Football Friday. John Machota produced his top 20 takeaways from practice this week over there on The Athletic. You can read the whole thing if you'd like. There was just a couple of them I found to be significantly interesting. Thought I'd run them past you. We jumped to the return of Amari Cooper, number 6. And inside the story, something interesting. Amari was asked about how he's perceived as not being passionate enough. He says, I attribute it to people not really understanding personality types. Amari's so cerebral. He says there's so many different personality types. I guess if somebody doesn't have the same personality as me or the next person, they won't really understand. That's what I attribute it to. He said he has studied the 16 different personality types. People are really misinformed. I never felt pressure to be different or anything because I just try to let my play talk. He says he believes his introverted personality is easy to use against him if things aren't going well. When he plays well and the team is playing well, he rarely hears anything about it. He says it's the same way if you're outspoken and you're loud, like with T.O. and stuff like that. He adds, if things are going well, there's nothing really said, but if things are going bad, they're going to blame him, like a distraction type of thing. So it's like, what do? You can only be yourself.
Yeah, you can't really win in the world anymore. Like, what do you want from somebody? Like, you want him to be brash and outspoken because then you get criticized for that. But if you're not, you don't care. It's just like, oh, man, life's hard as a wide receiver because you're supposed to be a certain way. Hell, I guess that's every walk of life. Like, you're, quote, supposed to be a certain way. And
you got to be excitable, but not too much, you know.
Okay, yes, but not cocky.
Yeah. I would compare him to Barry Sanders. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the personality when I was first starting in the league, that the utmost respect, but not flashy, not outgoing, not, great teammate, played hard every game, got the best from him. But, he went home and spent time with his family and stuff, and you really didn't hear much about him.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to adopt that approach, that's a pretty good one to follow right there.
He went on to say he never talks to players out there on the field. They're wanting to talk trash and all that. What's crazy, though, is after a big play, he will come back to his bros on the sideline and really have a ball. I mean, they're throwing a party, breaking down all of the, so I think there are specific situations that can get Amari Cooper pretty excited. They're just very specific.
He's confident / cocky.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how do you portray that. Like, I feel like with Amari Cooper, it's not going to be, oh, you talk trash to me, I scored, I'm going to flip the ball at you and tell you how bad you suck. He'll go back to the sideline and tell Gallup, like, yeah, that guy can't cover me. But he'll do it really calmly. Like, he can't. He doesn't have a chance.
It's very Alabama-like, though.
Yeah.
Very Alabama knows about that.
He'll go to Kellen.
Embarrassing you and stand there and talk about it on the sidelines.
He'll go to Kellen and he'll go to Dak and he'll be like, hey, he's cooked. Like,
he can't cover me. Yeah.
You know what's interesting is not only is Amari Cooper soft-spoken, but so is CeeDee Lamb and so is Michael Gallup. I mean, they got three of them. I don't know if that traditional wide receiver reputation or image is really that accurate. Maybe some of the stars have, but I mean, there's so many wide receivers that don't fit it. CD on his goals for the season, when you put it out there, they think you're being cocky or something. So I'm just going to keep that to myself.
That's why I think I know his prediction.
But it's pretty high, yes, definitely.
Yeah. When you ask for 5,000 yards receiving, I mean, that's a tough get, right?
I think his goal is 1,500 yards.
Oh, sure it is.
I'm totally guessing.
Sure it is.
But when you say that, trust me, I have high goals for myself, and I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to hear about it.
Sure.
I think he's shooting for 1,500.
No question.
That's doable with this extra game. It's doable.
If you get Amari to miss 5 or 6, it's very doable.
Hey, you're going to throw the ball a lot. We're talking about Dak getting to 6,000 yards. A quarter of them could go to your top receiver, and if CD breaks out like some people are expecting him to, I think there's a good chance he could be the Cowboys' number 1 already. Maurice Kennedy on Micah Parsons and who he reminds him of. I can't say he reminds me of anybody because I've never met somebody that's 250 pounds and can run a 4.3 40. Have you guys? How many are there?
There's some.
Willie McGinnis is the closest. I've seen that size, that ability to run, that ability to chase, that ability to finish. That's who he reminded me of, Willie McGinnis.
Let me look up Parsons' athletic profile real quick. Like, I know that, like, Luke Kuechly was a stud athlete, but he was a 4.5 guy.
Yeah.
But he did everything else. So here is his athletic profile, 9.59 out of 10. That's pretty good. It would be incredible if he did more bench press. But, 246, running a 4.36 and a sub-7-second 3-cone. That's freak stuff. That's a freak thing. And sometimes you'll get guys who have that athletic profile, and you're like, all right, where'd he play? Show me his stats. And it's like, well, he didn't really start, and he wasn't really. But he's the guy that was, hey, I dominated college football, and this is me. So, yeah, it's pretty rare. That's pretty rare.
Yeah, Kennedy said how he moves surprised me a lot. Literally, his movement is like a DB, but he's at linebacker. As soon as he knows his strengths and weaknesses, he will be very hard to beat at anything. That's exciting right there. I do think it's a player that could transform what we think of this defense. And Malik Hooker back at practicing for the first time in a year this week. The story goes he has a reputation for creating turnovers. In 36 NFL games, he's picked off 7 passes. In 13 games during his final year at Ohio State, he had 7 picks. He recorded his first interception at training camp in his first fully padded practice. A Ben DiNucci pass in the red zone, tipped by Nashawn Wright, caught by Hooker in the end zone, returned up the sideline, what would have probably been a pick 6 in an actual game. The quote, I had told one of the guys when I first got out here, shoot, when you have not seen the ball in that long and it ain't touching you, it always finds its way back home. I like that. Let's step aside. Stephen Jones joins us next in the Nation.
This month on the 11th, a writer named Sarah shares the story of a false accusation of sexual misconduct. And then her inbox is flooded with hundreds of other people saying they too have been falsely accused. A professor, a federal government whistleblower, a candidate for sheriff. What responsibility does she have to these other stories, these other people? Was it her role to decide who's telling the truth? That's this month on the 11th, a new podcast from Pineapple Street Studios.
CuriosityStream has thousands of documentary films and shows available on demand on any device. We're the Netflix for nerds, the Hulu for history buffs, the Disney Plus for the scientist in us. There sure are a lot of streaming services, aren't there? CuriosityStream is the one you definitely need if you're the type to nature dock and chill, if you're an armchair astronaut, if you prefer physics to psychics, or perhaps you know a precocious paleontologist. Go to curiositystream.com to learn more and sign up today.
Sports bettors, are you ready? Are you ready for a faster way to win? When you bet with PointsBet, you get faster bets, faster withdrawals, and faster rewards. Experience this premium sportsbook for yourself and sign up with code BETSWEATS, BETSWEATS, to get $100 in free bets when you deposit $20. Must be present in New Jersey, Indiana, Iowa, or Illinois. Must be 21 or older. Additional T's and C's apply. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER if in New Jersey and Illinois, 1-800-9-WITH-IT if in Indiana, 1-800-BETS-OFF if in Iowa.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
good night,
there's a lot of meetups, eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell and engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
All right, Stephen Jones going to join us here in just a couple of minutes. Segment is brought to you by Dripping Springs Vodka and by the personal injury lawyers, Frankel and Frankel. Have you been injured in a wreck with a work truck or 18-wheeler? Call 214-333-3333 or go online to truckwreck.com, Principal Office, Dallas, Texas. I have 3 players I'm hoping to see something significant from tomorrow night. I want to run these guys by you.
Okay.
You tell me if there are others you'd like to add to it or if you think my list is stupid.
I hate your list.
Kelvin Joseph.
Oh, good list.
Kelvin Joseph, Jabril Cox, Dorrance Armstrong. Those are my 3 that I'm like, man, if we see something tomorrow night, maybe we can take our reimagining of how good this defense can be here to another level.
I give your list an A+. I like your list a lot.
All right. That's good because I'm going to ignore everything else. It gets boring after a while.
Good. Yes, because like I and 1.7% of the Cowboys population will go even further down the roster, but what you are looking for is infinitely more important than what I'm looking for. So, yes, Kelvin Joseph. And I think you throw Nashawn Wright in there too, both of your rookie corners. And another one that I think is really relevant would be Oso Digizua.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is a rookie third-round pick that I believe is a starting defensive tackle for you right now because Neville Gallimore's hurt. So, that's what the preseason's all about, looking at younger guys. When you throw in Dorrance, like the younger guy. Because Dorrance had a really nice game rushing the passer, but I look at it and I'm like, okay, if you're going to have a good day rushing the passer, I want it to be with things that translate, like where it's like, oh, yeah, that's good. And both of his seemed like they do. He had 2 sacks, and they were both sort of
actually beat the guy.
Like play low, long arms, guy can't get his hands on you, work through him, get to the quarterback. But I also vividly remember watching that Arizona backup offensive line, and I'm like, not one of these dudes can play a lick.
No.
So if you could see it again, then I think that would be awesome. If you saw Dorrance have a nice day rushing the passer again, that'd be great.
Yeah, he did have the sack on Beecham, who is their starting tackle. The first one.
So he had a good one.
He had a good one, and then Mills is the backup, who's not very good.
Yeah, their backups were really bad.
Defensive tackle rotation, defensive line pressure, safety rotation, momentum for Fehoko Armstrong. I need to see stuff like that is what I'd like to look at. I'd like to see guys that had good games last week. Is this something I could rely on? You do it every week. That's something that we talk about. Armstrong's biggest problem is his lack of consistency. It's one good game, 3 games we don't see you. You need to start building on that where I can rely on you every week to go out there and get me some statistics. I don't need you to get goose eggs like you did in the Steelers game and then come back and play great. I need you to keep building on that as well.
And then I'm going to throw in one thing. You said safety rotation, right?
I did.
Okay, so one of the things that's interesting to me, and this is going to be for the 1.7% of Cowboy fans that are paying attention to it, but like DeMonte KZ is on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Donovan Wilson is on this team. I think Malik Hooker is most likely on this team. And if there's one more spot, Stephen Jones loves to talk about saving money with younger players over veterans. I wonder if Israel Mukwamu could be a guy who takes a roster spot from Jaron Kearse and Darian Thompson, where it's a money-saving move. You're like, hey, we think we can get by with that, and we save money, and we can spend it somewhere else. Bang.
Kearse was running with the 3s today.
There you go.
So, yeah, that'll tell you something.
Kickoff tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Of course, Brian Broaddus is going to be on the call with Brad Sham. That's very exciting. Ari Temkin will have the pregame show at about 4.
Yeah, with Barry Church as well. Yeah.
Very cool. Old number 42.
Yep.
We'll be back in the mix. It's great to have Barry Church back in town and working as a member of the Cowboys media, doing stuff with the .com, and to have him here on our pre- and post-game show coverage along with Ari Temkin is super cool. Barry Church, an A-plus individual.
Especially as a man who embraces the bucket hat.
He does.
Yeah.
I have found that we as men are in on the bucket hat, and the vast majority of the ladies tell us we look stupid in them, but we think we look cool. And so I just appreciate that Barry Church leads the charge of the bucket hat.
Barry was the first, I remember, out at camp.
And he was the first bucket hat, man.
Because Barry at one time had shaved his head. So I think that's
He was trying to hide it?
He was trying. Well, no, I think he was like worried about getting
some burn.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, he said, no, I'm gonna have to go with the bucket hat. And he used to flip the front of it up.
Yeah, it was a good look.
That was a good look.
It was.
All right, I have another question for you, Brian. Are the defensive tackles improved enough this year that the linebackers are going to be able to run free?
I think that what you're going to see with these defensive tackles is like the power from Urban. You're going to see, with we'll see what happens with Odighizuwa. He's kind of an up the field player. Bohannon's a power guy. I'm interested to see Golston because I saw him. I think
is he practicing?
I have not seen him practice. No, but I'm
man.
interested. I'm interested to see what happens with him because at Iowa I've seen him play as an end and play really strong. Much like what you would see Tank, not letting the ball get outside of you. But you could kick that guy inside, though, and I think you got something.
How bad do you guys think Dak wants to play right now? How tough is it with a guy like this to tell him no?
He's his own worst enemy right now. I mean, yesterday when I was watching practice, he has while they were doing 2-minute drills and stuff like that, he has to go do something else so he doesn't watch it. Seriously, he goes down the other end of the field. I'm going to run gassers. I'm going to go and do something where I don't have to watch, like Coach McCarthy. Okay, the situation is, and he's calling out, and like he's not part of that. No, he's looking for Britt Brown. I got to do the chords. I got to go do something. I'm sorry, I can't watch this.
I feel like Dak's the kind of guy that's walking around with a football in his right hand, but he's holding it behind his back, and he's looking around at the coaches, and if nobody's looking, he'll try to find somebody to catch it, and he'll be like, hey, they're not watching. Let's go.
Yeah, he's going to do that old Peyton Manning move where you hide the backup quarterback's helmets. Gilbert's running around like,
I guess I got to go in, Coach.
Where's my helmet?
Don't worry, I swear I'll throw short.
Tough break for you. Just so happens I'm in full uniform, ready to rock.
That's him. That's the guy.
Oh, man, you love having a guy like that. As Brian says, at times he can be his own worst enemy. You just got to, manage it and harness it. And I'm sure this process has reinforce the idea in his mind that maybe he does need to take it a little bit more careful and be a little bit more mindful about how he's pushing things?
Yeah, I think, though, he's always been a guy that's so competitive, but then you had the big contract that he feels like, hey, I've earned this, but I've got to go live up to it. No, he wants to be out there and be a leader and help his team win games.
All right, we are standing by for Stephen Jones. Let's do it, though. Let's just roll right into the G-Bag of the day. The best audio from the world of sports, curated by Lucius Alexander. Now here, filling in for him, is former Browns running back Peyton Hillis, producing the show today.
I will take that any day of the week. I thought it was just a nickname at first, so I was like, I'll just roll with it.
Is that because we had Parker Hillis and Peyton Russell and Peyton Hillis was a person?
You were combining the two. Okay,
absolutely. Conflated the names. Who's our champion, sir?
So we are going to go with Coach Greg Popovich of Team USA. He had this to say after the game.
We start out getting our ass kicked. After a couple practices, and there it comes again, and these guys this and that and the other. Then comes COVID, and 3 guys walk off a plane the day before a game. And you guys went through all that stuff, and your families are sacrificing back there the same way. And that's why I'm so proud to be part of this. It's like the best feeling I've ever had in basketball. And I would just like to say to all those people out there, how the f*** you like us now?
Yeah! You got him. I love it. Got it. Yeah, I think the next time I feel myself starting to get emotional, I'm just going to drop multiple vulgarities, right?
Yeah.
You come out of it strong.
When you feel like you're about to cry, just kind of compose yourself and just start dropping
Just start
F-bombs.
cussing and just get all,
How the F you like me now, B-word.
Exactly.
That's how you captivate an audience. You get them to where they're almost like, are you
poor guy.
okay? And then,
yeah, he delivered it. Do you think that's really it blows me away that these guys that can fight their entire careers for the Larry O'Brien trophy, they get more pumped about winning a gold medal in a tournament they were favored to win every game in. It's crazy to me, but I think it's true.
I think he has a sense of military pride, though. He's an Air Force grad. So he's got that little bit extra inside of him that maybe some others don't carry.
He went to Air Force Academy? Is that what you said?
Yep.
All right. Salute to Greg Popovich. They're our one-time G-Bag of the Day champion. And who's challenging today, Peyton?
So this is a town. They have it's a news station. They have someone on the loose that's pooping in people's yards, but it's not a dog.
Tonight, our Emily Longnecker shares the new efforts to keep an unwelcome mess off front lawns.
Well, we've all seen the signs in people's yards asking folks to pick up after their dogs. Well, now some folks in a Fishers neighborhood are putting out a different sign after they say a woman has been running around their neighborhood and going to the bathroom in their front yards.
We call her the pooper. We have lots of names for her.
Oh, I didn't even know anyone put a sign up.
All except her real name. The woman, residents in Fishers Windermere neighborhood say jogs through the area in the early morning and leaves behind her calling card of sorts.
We have found her droppings in our yards. She carries her own toilet paper, and she just leaves the toilet paper behind with her droppings.
Last week or the week before, she did it in 3 or 4 different yards down the street, every other yard.
Neighbors say the same thing happened last summer.
And then it started again this summer. We don't see it in the winter, so.
I have not personally witnessed the pooper.
No one has to. Neighbors know the sign.
All right, we're going to bail out of that G-Bag of the day and segue very smoothly into our interview with Stephen Jones as he is set to join us now, the Executive Vice President, CEO, and Director of Player Personnel. Stephen, good afternoon. Thanks for making time for us, buddy.
Absolutely, guys. Great to be on.
Right on. It's great to have you. I guess first question, how bad does Dak want to play right now? Has he accepted it, or is he still blowing you guys up?
No, we're about to have to incarcerate him, I think. He's so ready to go. In his mind, he's ready to roll. So, like we said, we got to almost protect him from himself, but in a good way. I mean, he's just such a fiery competitor and so wants to be out there working. And I'm sure you saw bits and pieces of it. Get the feel for it off Hard Knocks, but he's he wants to be out there and working like that, but he'll be just fine. As we said, just do it our way, and this thing's going to work out perfect.
Well, Stephen, as we both know, Todd Archer is a troublemaker, and he's out here stirring it up this morning. He tweeted out, teams are eyeing a move for Connor McGovern in a potential trade, but the Cowboys would be reluctant to deal him. Do we have any deets on that? Is the phone's ringing?
Well, as we all know, and as we saw last year, just because you might have your starting five, which certainly hadn't ruled Connor McGovern out starting. He's still competing his ass off. But, man, you got to have 7 or 8 of these guys to make it through a season. So I'd find it really hard to see us wanting to do anything that would hurt us in that area right there.
Stephen, do you feel like that the draft gods did you a favor by dropping Parsons in your lap?
We do. I mean, we just see it every day out there, and I'm sure, those of you who get to be out at practice and see parts of it can feel it too. I mean, this guy's just a ball hawk. He's around it. He brings a lot of multiple things that he can do to make our defense better, whether it's rushing, whether it's dropping, or whether it's just sideline to sideline with his rare speed. I just think we've got us a football player that's going to make a big, big difference on our defense this year.
How much better do you think it's going to be?
Well, I don't see any reason why it can't be, a top half of the league. And where that falls in the top half, that's yet to be seen. But, as I've said all along, I think it starts with our coordinator who's, really brought a lot to the table in terms of, his energy, his communication skills. It's made its way through the assistant coaches down to the players in terms of how they communicate with one another as coaches and players, and then player to player on the field. The communication's outstanding. Love the scheme. The players are playing fast. It feels like they know what they're doing. And, people say, how can you expect to go from, one of the lower defenses in the league to top half again? I said the same reason we went so quickly to the top half of the league. Personnel, we've invested in the off season, in the personnel, whether it was free agency or the draft, and I feel like they're coached up and ready to play fast and make plays.
Now, Stephen, you mentioned McGovern still fighting to try to be a starter on this team. How many other positions on this team still have that going on when there is a battle? The name I think of is Maurice Kennedy and Jordan Lewis, with Kennedy making plays every day out there. How many guys are realistically still fighting for a starting job?
Well, it's been one of the more competitive camps we've had. I mean, you mentioned linebacker. I mean, we got 4 really good linebackers, with a lot of them having different skill sets. But, when you talk about Micah and Neil, and then, of course, Leighton and Jalen, there as you're especially you're starting it off in the rundowns. But, it's just a really competitive group there. I think the safety group's getting really competitive. I mean, you got Curse, and now Hooker's on the scene. DT does everything the right way, and they're all pushing Kazee and Donovan. So it's I think it's a real competitive group. The young guy is making plays back there. So, that's a very competitive group. And then, you've got our corners, our young corners are pushing AB and, to hold on to his spot. Obviously, Diggs is entrenched. But, it's just it's a competitive camp for us.
Stephen, when Jeff and I were evaluating the draft that Hooker came out of, I felt like he was one of the top defensive players in the draft at that time. Indianapolis grabs him. Was he one of those guys? I'm not going to ask where he sat on your board, but is the reason why you guys have kind of stayed after this so long is that you had some really good positive reports and thoughts about him?
Absolutely, Ryan. I mean, we had him right there where everybody else had him, top 10 type defensive player and a playmaker. And, he's just been unfortunate. He's had a lot of injuries and, in his career, and he's coming off an Achilles, and, they've held him back some, but, we certainly see what made us like him coming out in practice. Now that he's working back into practice, if we're going to he's going to get some good work in the game, tomorrow against the Texans, and then even more work, hopefully against the Jaguars. And, feel good about him.
Stephen, there was a report yesterday Jalen Smith is going to be transitioning to a role which includes special teams, which would be more of a backup role. Can you confirm that at this time?
No, not at all. They're all competing there. Between George Edwards and Dan, they're communicating with all four of those guys, and they feel about what their roles are going to be, and they're very comfortable with what that is. But no way would I confirm that's accurate at all.
Okay. Are you guys looking at backup quarterback going into these final two games? Is that role for Gilbert or another player essentially on the line in these games?
Well, I think Gilbert and Cooper got to continue to work, and they're fighting for that number 2 spot. And obviously Gilbert's got a little advantage there, but they're obviously working to hold on to that role there. But as I've said time and time again, player acquisitions 365 days a year, and we're always looking to get better. And they're not only competing against each other, but they're competing against other people in the NFL, just as people at other positions on our football team are doing the same thing.
All right, I know you got a busy afternoon, but I do have one more question for you, Stephen. I saw that Terrell Owens said somebody in the NFL told him to stay in shape. That wasn't you guys, was it?
I think you can look at our receiving core and see that we're feeling pretty good about our group.
Don't need a veteran fourth or seventh guy. You guys are loaded in there.
I think we like our group, and we like the group behind our top 3. There's a lot of reasons to feel good about, our 6 or 7 guys we have over there.
Stephen, are you aware of the existence of the Governor's Cup? That's what we're playing for this weekend, is the Governor's Cup. So I'm looking for a W here.
Well, we are too. We always want to win the game, and certainly we're going to go out there and get better, and hopefully we can take that Governor's Cup home with us.
There we go.
Sounds good, man. Give him hell down there. We'll be pulling for you.
Sounds great, guys. Take care.
Yes, sir. There he goes. The great Stephen Jones with you on 105.3 The Fan. All right. Coming up next, we're a little bit late for it, but it is time for Krusty's Corner. Where we head, sir?
Yeah, let's do a little talk about what I saw at practice today.
This month on the 11th, a writer named Sarah shares the story of a false accusation of sexual misconduct. And then her inbox is flooded with hundreds of other people saying they too have been falsely accused. A professor, a federal government whistleblower, a candidate for sheriff. What responsibility does she have to these other stories, these other people? Was it her role to decide who's telling the truth? That's this month on the 11th, a new podcast from Pineapple Street Studios.
CuriosityStream has thousands of documentary films and shows available on demand on any device. We're the Netflix for nerds, the Hulu for history buffs, the Disney Plus for the scientist in us. There sure are a lot of streaming services, aren't there? CuriosityStream is the one you definitely need if you're the type to nature dock and chill, if you're an armchair astronaut, if you prefer physics to psychics, or perhaps you know a precocious paleontologist. Go to curiositystream.com to learn more and sign up today.
Odyssey now has hundreds of new exclusive music stations for you to discover your new summer soundtrack.
Get moving with worthy workouts for a cardio sesh fueled by today's top artists.
Hanging with your crew? Throw it back with Picnic Party for old school jams for your cookout.
Or sail away with Odyssey's new yacht rock station, Jugger Yacht.
For summer barbecues, road trips,
or relaxing poolside.
Hundreds of new exclusive stations, plus all your favorite local radio stations and podcasts. It's all on Odyssey.
Brought to you by Macy's, Geico, and Coke Zero Sugar.
Clean, safe, local. Your home for business is the Village of Bedford Park. Over 450 businesses strong and growing with a safe, reliable Lake Michigan water supply. Visit VOBPBiz.com and bring your business home to the Village of Bedford Park.
Well, thank you very much. It is the G-Bag Nation here on 105.3 The Fan, and time now for Krusty's Corner. Here's Broadus.
Thank you very much, General. Appreciate that. I know we had Stephen on just a second ago. Jeff asked the question about Connor McGovern.
Great question, Jeff.
It was a great question.
Thank you.
I asked, I went and started asking the gang if they had heard anything about that. 2 of them got back to me and said no, they had not heard anything about the
trading Connor McGovern would be silly. Yeah. They don't need to do that.
Yeah. So, but couple of my guys said, listen, I'll do some follow-up and let you know. But just to give you an idea, a couple of teams out there, usually teams will start calling and say, hey, what are you going to do with this guy? Or what, you got a surplus here, that,
and you just tell them the truth. Well, Connor Williams in the last year of his deal, this guy's cheap for more years, and he's going to sit here. And if somebody gets hurt, he's going to play, and next year he might be our left guard. Thanks for calling. Have a great day.
You sound like you've been in this NFL stuff.
I'll punch you guys in the face if you call back here.
That part of it we wouldn't do. We would not.
I'll trade you Connor McGovern right now. First-round pick. Done. Let's dance.
You think someone would be that
I think
bad,
people
that bad at guard to do that?
I think word would get around the league to not bother calling me within 6 hours. They'd be like, that guy, he just says, give me a first-round pick no matter what you ask about.
Kind of crazy.
Old Kavanaugh's on one again.
Yeah.
Try again tomorrow.
Gosh, that would be.
We were trying to get his backup punter, and he wanted 2 ones. So
well, that happened with the Joey Galloway thing.
Oh, and Jerry just threw in an extra one?
I asked Colton Grin that. I go, Mike, were you looking for that extra one? And he goes, I don't know. I was just trying to get the one. So, anyway. We had a texter call in or text in about Dak not throwing. When the beginning of practice is called pat and go, where you pat the ball and then throw like a go route and stuff. So, Dak was not taking part of that. They went to team period, and like the texter said, he went off the field. So it kind of looked alarming because he's running off the field. 2 things that come to mind is he has to go to the restroom quickly, that's one of the things. And then he's going to meet Britt Brown on the other field, on the grass field. Britt wasn't doing his cord stuff on the actual indoor field, so he was running to go do his work outside. So I wouldn't look at that as any problems at all right there. But he was not throwing the pat and go, and the go, like I said, is down the field, those down the field type throws. So we'll see.
It's not a rip though, is it? It's more of a loop.
It's a lob.
Yeah.
It's a lob, but it's like a 40-yard lob.
Oh, it's a pretty heavy throw.
You have to kind of turn it a little bit to get it to go. So it was a practice that you would have typically before you would play a game. A lot of what we call cards or scout team. And when I mean cards is they're showing the actual formation of the defense of the Texans, and then you run a play. So it's a show team, scout team, and they were doing that in general to maybe something you would pay attention to here. Quite a bit of this was down in the red zone. So maybe we've seen problems. We've seen problems with Gilbert gets down there. They don't have a. Do they have a? Yeah, then he panics, he gets sacked, and then field goal time for the Cowboys. But there was an extended period, I felt, where they were working on some plays, some ideas, and a couple different things I thought was pretty interesting with the bunch formation stuff, movement, crossing, stuff like that. Things
easy now.
I didn't say
don't go too far.
I didn't say how they were doing it, but there was. Put it this way.
Some stuff.
Put it this way. If they're doing stuff, if they get in the red zone tomorrow, they've got a plan for how to attack the Texans, I believe.
Okay.
I believe.
See, Governor's Cup. They're getting ready for it.
Got to get ready for the Governor's Cup. So
on the line.
Keep an eye on that. Okay, on that defensive side of the ball, though, they got in base one time, okay? And their base linebackers, it is Parsons, Smith, and Van Der Esch. One time. The rest of the time, they got into a situation where it was 3rd and 6.
Parsons and Neal.
Yes,
sir.
That's exactly what it is. I think that's are we getting to the point now, Jeff, where you feel like they're going to get in nickel, they're going to play a lot of nickel, and it's going to be 11 and 42 on the field the whole time?
Yeah, and if you care about people's feelings, then you can open a game on 1st and 10 when a lot of teams will run the ball, and you could say that Jalen and/or Van Der Esch was starting, but what matters is who plays most of the plays, and Parsons and Neal, I think, are going to play most of the plays.
Yeah, I do too. I think, and then they got into another situational part of practice. Actually, Lawrence got some work in this.
Uh-oh.
So they had Gregory at right end, they had Odighizuwa at the 3, and they had Watkins at the 1.
That's your D-line.
And with Lawrence playing as the left defensive end. So that's something to keep an eye on. You're not going to get Lawrence in the game tomorrow, but I have a feeling that could be your starting defensive line when we get to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
We could talk about Brett Urban maybe at that 1. I don't know. I think Watkins is going to be the 1. I just do.
Good options. Veteran, legit options.
Yeah, they do. And, it would be a lot better if it was, it would be a lot better if it was
Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne and Leonard Williams
sure.
and Vita Vea.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go.
But yeah, I think that if, the one that they're going to have to really hang their hat on is Osa Odighizuwa. I mean, he's going to have to make some plays at the 3. He's going to have to. He's going to have to be disruptive, and he's going to have to be able to get off blocks and not jump off sides and play with some patience and stuff. I think the guy's capable of doing it. Played a lot of snaps at UCLA, so hopefully that he can be one of those rookie starters that they're going to rely on this year, and hopefully it plays well for him.
Well, I was really hoping to get some sports mix in there, Brian. We got time crunch.
What the hell, bro? No sports mix on a Friday?
I've got sports mix down the line if you want to use it down the line.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's look at this show sheet. Let's find somewhere we can plug this.
I've got questions. I've got questions up.
I got questions about your questions.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope you have answers to my questions.
Sometimes.
But yeah, I know it's a short day, but I do have the sports mix.
It is a short day, but it's a Friday, and at 4:40, we'll be looking for you to answer 2 questions from us. What you drinking and what you thinking.
See what I did.
Okay, that's a forward promotion. Coming up next, Dak on Facing the Bucs Week 1. We have audio of that, plus Martin on with KNC, Zach Martin on with them. What's top of his mind as they get ready to go to Houston? It's next in the nation.
On Pod Save the World, we want to be your cheat sheet for global events. My name is Tommy Vitor, and each week, my co-host Ben Rhodes and I break down the biggest stories from around the world. Ben and I both worked on President Obama's national security staff, and we'll introduce you to the activists, politicians, and journalists who can help us understand what's going on around the world, what it means for the United States, and what it's like being inside the White House Situation Room during a crisis. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your pods.
CuriosityStream has thousands of documentary films and shows available on demand on any device. We're the Netflix for nerds, the Hulu for history buffs, the Disney Plus for the scientist in us. There sure are a lot of streaming services, aren't there? CuriosityStream is the one you definitely need if you're the type to nature dock and chill, if you're an armchair astronaut, if you prefer physics to psychics, or perhaps you know a precocious paleontologist. Go to curiositystream.com to learn more and sign up today.
Odyssey now has hundreds of new exclusive music stations for you to discover your new summer soundtrack.
Get moving with worthy workouts for a cardio sesh fueled by today's top artists.
Hanging with your crew? Throw it back with Picnic Party for old school jams for your cookout.
Or sail away with Odyssey's new yacht rock station, Jugger Yacht.
For summer barbecues, road trips,
or relaxing poolside.
Hundreds of new exclusive stations, plus all your favorite local radio stations and podcasts. It's all on Odyssey.
Brought to you by Macy's, Geico, and Coke Zero Sugar.